What's up, Swaggy Vets? Hey, man, I got an amazing video for you today. We got Rick Amarillo, known as Ranger Rick. So if you know Rick, you know he's a wild boy. But we talk about Ranger Battalion, we talk about 3rd Group Special Forces, we talk about him getting shot, and we talk about transitioning out the military and doing good by veterans. Hey, if you like our content, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a Swaggy Vets video. Cue the intro.
Now on the set of the Swaggy Vets show, we do it for the sisters, bros from coast to coast. A place where it's safe to go to make sure that a soldier's stories are told. All around the globe, going worldwide, representing military pride. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe.
You should already be at the position of a 10 for them boys when they come out, the original first Swaggy veteran. And then you got the boy Big Pen. Hey man, salute me or shoot me. And if you ain't no vet, you better not talk like one.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Swaggy Vets Podcast. I'm your host, Big Pen. Hey, man, make sure y'all go to swaggyvets.com. We got some merch coming out, so I'm going to plug it. It'll be in description. We got some merch, and we got some really good events coming up. So all the description is going to be in the description, so y'all go check it out. Now, coming to the Swaggy Vets Arena, we got a man forged in discipline, battle-tested in the shadows, and still serving with purpose beyond the uniform. He's walked the path few can handle and carries the mindset most can't break. Known as Ranger Rick, a warrior, a leader, and a man on a mission. So let's welcome Rick Amarillo. And then, of course, we got this fine gentleman, Rudy Weeby.
Yes, sir.
Because we be balling.
What up, everyone?
What's up, y'all?
What up?
Man, it's your birthday weekend.
Yep. Yes,
All
it
right.
is.
How's your weekend been going so far?
It's good. It's
Yeah.
good. Nashville is very, very interesting. It's everything we expected. Like I said, I did come here before
Yeah.
with my wife. It was cold, but it was still wasn't a letdown. Then I got to hang out with all my boys.
Yeah,
got
man.
To meet you too.
Yeah, I just met Rick this weekend, and we met Friday. We went out, had a really good time, and he had some of his friends come down. Rudy's one of them, and we had a really good time. Got to go out, brought him some swag merch, and we're here doing this podcast. So how did you get the name Ranger Rick?
Well, my name's Rick. I'm an Army Ranger.
Yeah.
Goes simple as that.
Simple as that?
As simple as that. It's Ranger Rick. You know, there is a Ranger Rick the raccoon out there. So that's why my name on Facebook is RNGER, because Ranger Rick the raccoon took the full Ranger name.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll stick with Ranger.
So let's start a little early. If I was to meet any of your childhood friends, what would they say about Rick?
Oh, well, they would say I'm wild. I was
Okay.
wild as a kid, crazy. I don't remember any of that, but I guess so, you know, and very, very smart if I'm not out, you know, running amok.
Yeah. So where'd you grow up at?
Jersey
Jersey.
City, New Jersey.
Okay. It's almost like the concrete jungle.
It is. I mean, it was. Jersey City back in the day was kind of rough, you know. We don't want to go back and say, oh, it was the last tough class, as we say with some other scenarios, but Jersey City was kind of tough. Lived about 4 blocks away from the projects. School was en route, and I had a very big group of diverse friends, you know, from Puerto Rican, Dominican, black, white, and that was our group. Then you had the projects, which was the majority of the blacks, the African Americans, and
Okay.
so it was always some type of little clash, you know. So, but we held our own.
Yeah. Did you play any sports being from Jersey?
Nope,
No?
nope. No, I think I did swimming, and I did track, but probably only did it for like a week, and then I was like, I'm good.
Like, this ain't for me.
Yeah, this ain't for me.
So what turned you on about the U.S. Army?
My mom actually got
Really?
me signed up, and I talk about it was her idea and stuff like that. But I was in this program, Youth Corps, AmeriCorps, and I didn't realize I was already exposed to military stuff because they had a traveling Vietnam museum exhibit from high school to high school, and it was basically things that were left at the wall and with letters, and then they would do a presentation, and I would open up with the presentation. But you know, when I didn't think about it back then, and it just took probably about a couple of years ago when I was like, man, I was already exposed to it. I understand it Vietnam War, understand what it's like to come back, and not everybody's a fan of you, So
Yeah, I mean, I remember seeing old movies and seeing old like news clips of those people coming back from Vietnam didn't get treated how we get treated now.
yeah,
So I would imagine going fighting for your country and then coming back and getting the pushback that they got wasn't necessarily very welcoming.
yep,
And I applaud those guys, because a lot of them kept it together.
yep, and it's happening now too. I mean,
Yeah.
you got a lot of people who aren't happy with veterans because we went to war, and they label some of us same as they did the Vietnam vets. I mean, we had a good point when 9/11 happened to go to war and fight, and everybody was all pro-America. Iraq maybe about 70%, and after that everybody's like pro-America, pro-veterans. But now in our climate nowadays, you have everybody who wants to go against those who actually fought for our freedom.
Yeah. I heard somebody say one time, we don't need another 9/11, but we need another 9/12, where everybody came together and it felt like we had our country. Everybody was on the same sheet of music.
Oh yeah. Nobody wants terrorism. Nobody wants war. I think like 9/12. Yes, it was great. Recent events, the space shuttle that went up, that brought America together.
It
I
did.
saw that. If you looked at what we were watching on TV, I was down in Florida, and that I believe was a great moment in America because everybody came together and was happy and wanted to see success.
Yeah.
So to me, I felt like that was a point where certain things got put aside and say, hey, this is America, this is what we do.
Yeah.
You know?
So boom, your mom turned you on to the military and you just went, signed up. What was your job starting out?
So I was a 13 Fox.
Okay.
But like I said, when I joined the military, I didn't know what I was going to become.
Mm-hmm.
I thought fire support specialist was a fireman.
Yeah.
So I came back and told everybody I was going to be a fireman in the Army. My recruiter, who had a CIB, that I think about it, he told me that he was a 13 Fox and that it would involve cleaning cannons. And I was like, I could clean cannons for 3 years. That's another. So I picture myself sitting on a cannon cleaning it. And then we know what a CIB is.
Yeah.
So then later on, I'm like, that Muldoon had a CIB. Ain't no way he was a 13 Fox. He lied to me. Anyways, yeah. Joined, went to basic training, Fort Sill, Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I met on the airplane from New York to Fort Sill. I met Tone, which you met this weekend.
Yep.
We've been friends ever since August 1998. And that's the type of friendship I have with some people. We got there. He was a 13 Bravo. I was a 13 Fox,
wow,
but we did
okay.
it in processing together.
Mm-hmm.
And he went off to his basic training. I went off to mine. Same area, Fort Sill. And before that, the airborne recruiter comes out, and he's wearing his maroon hat. And he's like, who wants to go airborne? And I'm like, oh, I'll do that. And I was scared of heights. As you learn, there's a lot of things I do that I did not like.
Yeah.
You know, so I was like, I'll do that. I was like, that maroon beret looks nice. I'll do it. So yeah. So then I went to basic. Then I went to AIT. Then the Ranger recruiter showed up in his greens with his black beret, his jump boots, and like, that dude looked nice as hell, you know? It's like, who wants to be a Ranger? And I was like, I'll do it. Hell yeah. And then you sat in the briefing. Then he started talking about 30-mile ruck marches and no sleep and sucking. I was like, oh my God, what did I sign up for? Holy crap, you know?
Yep.
Then I left, we graduated. I went to airborne school, Fort Benning, did that. Then we went to, I went to RIP. So it was RIP back then, Ranger Indoctrination Program.
Yeah.
And I believe it's different from RASP.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
RIP was, to me, RIP was just a suck fest.
Oh yeah.
And they were making sure you weren't quitting. And that was it. They teach you land nav, they teach you a little bit of things, but they just want to make sure you weren't quitting. As to where, you know, RASP, at that point, people were going to war. You're leaving RIP, which now was RASP, and going straight to war. And so I believe the regiment was like, hey, we can't just put guys downrange and just send them to war. Let's revamped the program, and then that's what they did, I believe, RASP. So they involved CQB, they involved the basics of make sure the guys were ready, not only mentally, physically, but tactically when they get to regiment, because they were Ranger Regiment, you know, one of the most deployed units there is, you know, so the most deployed unit there is, I would say.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Hey, they're tip of the spear.
Yep. So I went to Ranger Regiment, did about 4 years there. It was best place to be a 13 Fox.
Yeah.
Best place to be a 13 Fox. So.
Now, once you got to regiment, some people say a couple months, some people say 6, some people say a year. How long before you went to Ranger School when you got to Ranger Regiment?
I got there in May of 99. I went, May of 99, I believe, April or May. I went to Ranger School in 2001, May.
Oh, wow.
Actually, my birthday. So actually, yeah. so I was 21 years old. I actually re-enlisted for Ranger School. I think I got like a $13,000 bonus to stay in the regiment, and I re-enlisted for Ranger School, specifically summertime.
Oh.
Specifically summertime. Well, no, it's better in wintertime, I'll tell you that. So I remember May 3rd I re-enlisted, and then a week later I went to Ranger School. Yep.
How did you prepare for Ranger School? Well, I imagine being in
regiment, you're physically prepared.
Yeah.
Physically prepared, but being a 13 Fox, wasn't tactically prepared with your 7-8, you know, so knew my job. I was very good at my job, 13 Fox. As far as the infantry stuff, didn't really know it. I went there, and I tell you, I didn't pay attention in pre-Ranger. Because they were like, you know, everybody's like, you're a 13 Fox, they're not gonna put you in a leadership position. They're not gonna make you a PL or anything.
Yeah, right.
And they're always either gonna make you a 13 Fox or a radio guy. And I believe the cadre caught on to I wasn't paying attention, because when we're getting ready to go out the wire, the changeover was immediate. It was Murillo, PL. I'm like, what? Got in the circle, and I was like, hey, just want y'all to know I wasn't paying attention. I don't know what's going on. So here we go, you know,
now,
boom, right out the wire.
If anybody's wondering, PL is the top position when it comes to patrolling. So you have to orchestrate everything.
Yep. Control it.
Yep, control.
It's like if you planned it, you know, so they do planning. So whoever was the PL for planning, he knew the plan. If you weren't paying attention, it's going to suck.
Yeah.
And it sucked. Let me tell you. Did movement, the ORP, then actions on the objective, and I got fired. And it was so horrible. We did the recon, and I had 2 support by fires basically facing each other, shooting at each other, and the whole platoon running through the middle. And the PL, the cadre is like, who the F is the PL? And I was like, that's me. That's me. It was like, you are fired. And I was like, thank you so much. You know, and I managed to get another position, patrol base activities, and you needed 1 go in pre-Ranger. This was regiment pre-Ranger. And I got that go. And then we went into Ranger School 0 week, and I paid attention to everything. I paid attention, and I actually graduated NCO honor grad.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, pre-Ranger is designed for you to fail there, so you don't fail as much in Ranger School.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. But you pay attention, you won't fail.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, pre-Ranger it sucks more. So some people are like, man, pre-Rangers suck more. But you're condensing something in a short amount of time, then you're going to go into the 60 days of Ranger School, and it's like, all right, it's longer. You can get more time, but you're trying to condense something. You're making it suck.
Yeah.
So I ended up graduating, and it was good. It was a good feeling. And then went back to regiment, and we did rotor wing, fixed wing out in Campbell, and out here we came out here, did rotor wing, fixed wing. It was great. Spent another year there.
Okay.
Then got in trouble. So had an alcohol incident or 2. And, I would say, probably got was drinking before I was even 21.
I think we all did.
Yeah, we were going downtown, we were drinking, and I got in trouble probably 2 times. Just like to party, going downtown. You work hard, play hard, and and we got in trouble, and eventually got the boot. So, and most of us, we end up in Korea.
Oh,
Some guys
man.
go to A2nd,
Yeah.
but I believe there was at least 4 people in Korea that I knew from Ranger Regiment, and they actually call Korea the disbanded Ranger Regiment because of all the guys that go there, and yeah.
Now, before we go into that, I always ask people that's been to Ranger School, you got to give me a funny Ranger School story. Everybody's always got one.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're doing a patrolling. I believe we're in mountains.
Yeah, it's always mountains.
Mountains.
It's always
and,
mountains.
And you get lost or you get disoriented, you should say. And it's like we're walking, and I think I was a squad leader, and then the PL, the other guy was like, "Hey, we don't know where we're at." It's like, "What do you mean we don't know where we're at?" It's like, "We don't." I said, "All right, well, check this out. We're gonna walk about another 50, 100 meters, and then we're gonna yell bees, and then we yell bees, everybody scatters, and when they scatter, because it becomes an admin break.
Okay.
It becomes an admin break, so you scatter, and then you come back, and then the walker has to tell you where you're at. And so because it's an admin break, it's a hazard. So that's what we did. We walked about 100, and it was like bees, and everybody scattered, and then you come back, and then they tell you where you're at.
Oh man, that's
And
funny.
yeah, it's just funny because it's relative to that Tommy Boy movie
Yeah.
when they were running out of the car and yelling bees. So I see that, I'm just like, man.
Now, was everybody on the same sheet of music? They all knew what to do?
Well, yeah, because that's what we had to do, because we had to figure. We got back and we figured out where we were at. So, so that's the Ranger School funny story. Bees.
So, in Ranger School, everybody tells me there's one piece of equipment that they can't live without. What do you think that is for you in Ranger School?
I believe what it is for the majority is equipment. It's actually your whoopee.
Oh yeah.
Your whoopee is that thing will keep you warm wherever you're at. It might be a mental thing, but your whoopee is where it's at. And that's the thing. Everybody loves their whoopee.
So after regiment, you went to Korea. When was it that you decided to go SF?
Probably. Let's see. Probably as soon when I got there, I was just like, we weren't at war, but I wasn't used to a regular unit. We call it a regular army compared to where we were at, and I'm like, oh, I can't imagine going to war with these guys. The standards and everything. I was not used to it. I ended up going up to, like I said, I went to artillery unit because I was artillery, but never did any artillery unit. And because I had a Ranger tab, they sent me up to Camp Greaves, Korea.
Okay.
So I went up there with the infantry unit up there because I had a Ranger tab. And of course, I think I was a PV2 with a Ranger tab. So everybody knew I did something. They knew. They were like, look at me, spit shine boots, press uniform, and bam, E2 with a Ranger tab. And we're like, what'd you do?
Wings and everything.
Yeah, what'd you do? And I was like, man, whatever. So then got there. I was very knowledgeable in my job. I probably knew more. I would say, knew more than the E6, maybe the E7 that was there. Physically fit. So, scoring like 350 on the PT test, and just, and teaching classes. So going to Korea, ending up in Camp Greaves, it was one of the best things for me.
Kind of helped you recover, yeah?
Yeah. So Camp Greaves, you got to be across the bridge by 11. So you miss that bridge and you miss getting across the bridge.
Curfew.
Yep. So it was like, did nothing but teach, work out, and then finally I was just like, all right, well, my thing about going to selection. And, there was a thing where guys were going to selection from Korea just for a free plane ticket home. And then they would quit after the 7th day because you couldn't quit till after the 7th day. And, and then take that 14 days of leave that's left. Selection was 21 days. And then take their additional 14 days of leave. So that's what some guys were doing. I was like, man, sounds like a great plan. I was like, well, I'll think about it. If I make it, I make it. If I don't, I'm go on leave. I didn't know much about being SF. I didn't know, you just seen a guy with a tab rolling around in Korea with one. And it was like, oh, what's that guy do? Didn't really know Green Berets or anything. All I knew was Special Forces. So eventually, December came around. I became a PFC. December came around, and they were like, "Oh, hey, you're gonna make your E4 in January. You can go to selection." Ooh. I was like, "Oh, wow, okay." I was like, "Wow, I need to train." And it was like, "All right," So I was like, I did road marching like once, maybe twice, but I was physically in shape, and then January came around, and I left January 8th, around that time, to selection, and went to selection. Oh, it was cold.
Oh my God!
But it was Fort Bragg.
Yeah.
How the weather is there, and then it's best to go to selection in the cold because of the leaves and the foliage. There's less green, and so now you're able to see and navigate a little bit better. So I went, and I sat in the briefing, and I was like, man, it sounds like some cool stuff. I guess I'll just wait. I waited out and see if it sucks, quit, go on leave. Who knows what happens? But I was like, man, this is some cool shit, So I stayed in, did selection, it was good. It was fun, learned a lot. Their land nav courses or classes were great, so it was just great. And just walking around out there, I'm like, man, they just let you walk around by yourself for like 30K, and, you're doing this, you're walking all these clicks miles, and it's like, what happens if I fall into a hole or something, So, but that was part of, letting you go out on your own and letting you do things, and I guess that's being SF, So I ended up graduating, getting selected. So it was good. It was, everything that's new is tough, but when you're physically in shape and you're mentally right there, I think you can make it. There's stuff that happens, and I tell guys all the time, Ranger school, whatever it may be, you never want to be woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Yeah.
And I tell you, if you tried it and you failed, I look at it, it's like, hey, at least you tried. Some guys, if that's the route they want to take. Not everybody wants to take that route. So, but that's how it is. So.
What language and what MOS they give you?
I ended up getting 18 Echo.
Okay.
I guess because of my 13 Fox background. Language was French. So, I went to SUT. SUT sucked.
I bet.
It was basically Ranger school all
basically
over again.
Derby phase, yeah.
Yeah, but it just sucked even more. It's like they were just smoking us, and I was like, good Lord, And so went through that, and I was like happy I made that. You thought I would have learned my lesson from Ranger school, and just pay attention and do shit. But did that, then went to MOS school. Well, MOS, which was 18 Echo Communications. I'm like, oh, this should be fun. I mean, easy, maybe, because I'm a radio guy. I know radio. Nah. Antenna theory, all this different atmospheres and then stuff. I'm like, oh, my gosh. So then you learn how to build computers, desktop back then. They took out Morse code, which I was very disappointed about because I really wanted to learn Morse code, and I still do. But, passed the test. We had this final exercise. Gosh, can't remember it, but it was out in Fort Sill in January. Fort Sill, and it was cold. Max Gain. It was called Max Gain.
Oh, okay.
So you basically go out to Oklahoma, get out there, and then go out in the woods and you set up your communications and you send it all the way back to Bragg.
Okay.
So you have your long range, your HF radio. The HF thing was probably the most difficult one. SATCOM, not so much. It's all in the radio, but HF, you're building your antenna depending on, the frequency. If you don't know, the bigger the frequency, the smaller the antenna.
Yeah.
So the smaller the frequency, the bigger the antenna. So you're throwing antenna from tree to tree, and you have these certain windows that you have to meet, and then you send out your message.
Oh, wow.
And so that's what max gain was about, and you had to pass. So, but it was cold, and that's when I realized that cold sucks battery energy. And we had these 5590s that went into radios, and we would have to sit up and crank them all night because they were the rechargeable battery.
Yeah, okay.
So it's just cranking all night in the cold, and it was miserable, but made it. And then after that, what's that? You got selection, PLDC, BNOC, SUT, MOS, then Robin Sage. So we went to Robin Sage.
Oh, back then they did do language in between Robin Sage?
No,
Okay.
nope. So Robin Sage was the fourth one. Yeah, another then language and Sear. But
Okay.
Robin Sage, it was myself and another Echo, and it's 14 days. 7 day they do a mid counseling, and me and the other Echo got paired like number 13 and 14. So last out of the whole team. So the cadre is like, where y'all been? What have y'all been doing? It's like, oh, watching the radio, taking care of radios. That's our job, right? It's like, seemed like y'all are dodging. And I was like, nobody put us in charge of anything, you know? He said, okay then. So then the next 14 days, we got put in charge of like every mission.
Oh, wow.
And it was just nonstop. And it was fun because we didn't have to sit in there and watch the radio.
Yeah.
And we ended up getting paired 1 and 2. He got paired 1, I got paired 2. And that's, you put us in charge, you know, and we did what we did, and we were having a great time. So, but they didn't, and it felt like we was shitbagging it. But like, nobody put us in charge, just watch the radio, make sure we make the comm check and all that. But when they did, it was a blast. Robin Sage is probably one of the funnest exercise out there. You know, you're out there in all of North Carolina. You get put in people's farms. You get put in the middle of the city, you know, and the scenario rolls, and it just rolls. And it was such a great time and learning experience, you know. It's got prepared for, you know, future operations, you know. Then after that was language school, French. So I didn't know any other languages. Let's say I was born in Belize. Their main language is English, but broken English. Okay. So like Jamaican. My mom knew Spanish. My 2 older sisters knew Spanish. Okay. But me and my 2 younger sisters didn't know Spanish. But
you're like, come on, Mom.
Yeah, right? Come on, Mom. You know, but French is very relative to Spanish.
It is.
So you can pick it up, you know. And one thing I did know growing up in Jersey City, being around a lot of Hispanics, is I know when they're talking bad about me. So you know all the bad words in Spanish, so you're able to relate. And French was good. Finished that. You know, got 2.2. You needed 2.2 to graduate. So did that. And then Sear School. Sear School was the last thing. And then, so you actually got your Green Beret in Robin Sage.
Oh, wow.
And then you went to language school wearing this Green Beret, thinking you're hot shit, you know, wearing a SWIC patch with no SF tab.
Wearing a Green Beret.
Wearing a Green Beret. So you're walking around Fort Bragg thinking you're hot shit with no SF tab and a Green Beret. And it's like, yeah, it's a reality check real quick, you know. So most of the guys back then, they would just like to go to the 82nd PX to show off. and, you know, I went to, so, you know, I realized you ain't nothing. You know, he don't even got an SF tab. You got to run around here with a beret. But Sear School, most realistic school I've ever been to.
That's what I hear, man.
Most realistic school is like
Camp Slappy.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. It's like you do your classroom survival, all that stuff, and then you go on your land nav, and then you get captured, and you know, can't talk about it much. But one of the funniest things is we're there. I'm on our knees, got the bag over my head, and you just hear this constant slapping, and I'm just like,
oh man. I
was like, ain't no way they slapping them like that, you know. And you just hear it. Eventually, the guy grabs me, stands me up, pull the hood from over my head. He's like, name, rank, and social. And I was like, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, oh, what's your job? And I was like, and like he went to pretend to hit me, and I clenched my fist. And he's like, oh, we got a fighter. And he slapped me 3 times, wham, wham, wham. And I'm on the ground. And I was like, holy shit, this shit is real.
Yeah.
He put the bag over my head, and then off I went. And I was like, man, I'm telling somebody when I get out of here. This thing is real. And it was cold. It was November.
Oh.
It was November, and you're in man jams and leather boots, old school leather boots.
Yeah.
And I saw some stuff, and I was just like, holy crap, this is real.
Definitely a humbling experience, huh?
Yeah, definitely realistic and humbling, and it'll prepare you for some stuff in life, So, but yeah.
Now, how well did regiment and Ranger School prepare you to go through the whole pipeline with SF?
Just being mentally and physically right, and one thing I was about 155 pounds when I went to Ranger School, so I only lost 5 pounds.
Wow.
It was 160 when I went to selection, so right now I'm like 215, but back then, running a 12, 13 mile, 2-miler, 110 push-ups, 111 sit-ups type scenario, 3-mile run, 18:30. So that in these schools, being physically fit is the key, is the key. Because most of the time they'll look at you and like, oh, okay, if you could pass a PT test and you could smoke it out the water, you're good. You're halfway there, Then mentally it'll take you different places, but that's what Ranger Regiment was about, being mentally and physically fit, being able to get to the fight, but then knowing what to do when you get there. You can't be half of that, take time to get there and then know what you're doing, but then you're late. You're going to miss the fight, or you get to the fight and you don't know what you're doing. Yeah. Got to be both.
Do you think any of the cadre expected more out of you since you had a Ranger tab?
Yes, they do. In any courses that you go to, they'll look at your background. They'll say, okay, well, this guy has a Ranger tab, and they'll look at it, even though they say they don't, you don't wear rank or nothing. Like you don't wear rank or nothing in Ranger School, but if you come from Ranger Regiment, they expect it.
Yeah.
They know if you were an SF guy going through Ranger School, they know it. So then if you have a Ranger tab, you're going through the Q course and you're doing like small unit tactics, they'd expect more from you.
I bet.
They'll expect it, and that's where you from, where you grew up. 82nd, come from Lurse or something. They expect it. So whatever your background is, they know it, and they're gonna look and they're like, all right, well, this guy's a mechanic. All right, we're gonna have to work with him, or we're gonna put him with another strong guy, who maybe a Ranger guy, land nav. So those schools, I believe, they work that way. So they understand it.
Now, how did it feel the day you graduate and throw on that SF tab? How'd you feel?
It felt great. But the big graduation was the, Robin Sage, putting on the beret.
Okay.
So much of when you graduated SEER school, it was like there was no really tab ceremony. So, all right, you graduated SEER school, you can put your tab on now and go out processing, go to your unit. So that was really it. Graduating SEER school, I like the way they did that, and I believe SEER school was a great finish culmination to the whole pipeline. The pipeline has switched up throughout the years. They do so many different things now. But I liked it. I enjoyed it.
What was harder, do you think, the physical grind or the mental toughness?
The mental toughness.
Yeah.
I would say, you're talking about the Q course?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the mental toughness, and, some people compare it like, all right, well, you got selection, the Q course, compare it to Ranger School. Ranger School is 60 days straight, just going in, just sucking or, doing patrols. Q course, selection, more physical, land nav. Then you do SUT, lot physical patrols, and then you have a break. Boom, MOS school. Classes every day. PT in the morning, but you're sitting in a classroom environment. Then bam, Robin Sage. All right, boom. Out in the field, tactical, movements, all that stuff, culmination exercise. Then language school, back to a classroom environment, back to a relaxed.
Kind of like a break, language school.
Yeah,
huh?
break, and of course, SEER school.
Yeah.
So being Ranger School 60 days straight of just constant patrolling, all that. The Q course, even though it was 2 years, some year and a half, depending on your MOS, those breaks were good. So that was real good right there.
Now, where did you end up after graduating SEER school, getting your tab?
Third group.
Third group?
Mm-hmm.
And that was at Fort Bragg?
Yep. Third group. Best group there is out there. Just want to throw that out there.
Now, how did it feel going and being the new guy? Did they embrace you, or was it a little difficult, or what?
Well, once again, it's like, all right, we're going to find a job. So the people I graduated or went through the Q course with, some of them were already in group because they had shorter MOSs. Some people didn't have to go to language school because they already knew a language. So getting there is like, all right, well, you got to find you a job. So it's like my buddy Julian, he was already in 2nd Battalion, and he was like, hey, come down here when you come to group, come down here, come straight to 2nd Battalion, and we'll get you in, stuff like that. And I was like, nah, I got to go report to headquarters. So I ended up going to headquarters, and it's me and another guy. We're both echoes. And there was like, one of y'all have to go to the SIGDET. I'm like, what the hell? What's the SIGDET? And they're like, you're going 2nd Battalion, you're going SIGDET. I'm like, what the hell is a SIGDET? And they're like, signal detachment. So you go as a support guy.
Okay.
So even though tabbed out all that, you end up with the support guys in the support realm, and you don't want that. Everybody wants to go straight to a team.
Yeah.
So that was a horrible moment. I called Julian, and Julian was like, "Oh, it's too late, man. They already assigned you." And then, man, so the E5 when I got there, like I said, tabbed out, and it was like, this is not where I want to be. But going there.
What was the silver lining going there? Was there any?
Yes.
Okay.
It was a great experience. A lot of my good friends, close friends, were support guys. Well, they are now. They're my friends. And learning the backside support of SF. We say an SF guy can survive probably about 14 days out of their trucks and stuff on their own.
Yeah.
But eventually you're going to need that backside support. You're going to need that logistical resupply. You need all that. And it's a thing where it's like, oh, I'm a tab Green Beret, and you look down on these support guys and, don't give them the respect, but some of them, they have done more than some other guys. They've deployed with teams, and they've been in the fight, so when you look down on them, then it's not cool,
Yeah, I got you.
and that's the mentality some guys got in the team room. But I got to know them, I got to meet them, I got to, work with them, and, it became a family. And when I did go to a team, I tell you, anytime I made a phone call or came back up to Bagram, I got what I wanted. They were there. They're like, oh, we got you, Rick. Got you. It's for your team. We got you.
Oh, so you kind of built that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you got to a team, you were like more of an asset.
Yep. So it's like, oh, I know this. I know the person in ComSec. I know the guy that works at the GIP. I know the girl works in supply. The mechanic shop. I know who that is. So it's like, created that family atmosphere, that friendship. Put aside the tabs and was just like, all right, well, we're all here working together at this point. I was in charge when I became an E6 of a section of it, but still, you had E7s there. So it was a great learning experience, and it helped out every time, I needed something for a team.
Now, prior to going SF, had you deployed?
No.
Okay, so SF was your first deployment?
Unless you count Korea in the downtown district. That was some stuff, but no.
Some people do say it's gets a little wonky there in Korea, man.
It does.
Yeah.
That was the era of digital cameras, and when you would sober up the next day, you're like, oh my gosh, that's a dude. Look at you and this dude. You're like, delete that. We're keeping this one. But yeah, didn't deploy. When I got there in 2005, the SIGDET, they deployed with every year. So those guys were deploying since 2001, 2002. And so like I said, those guys had more deployments, and here come, the tab guy, Green Beret, and you have guys that have more deployments in group, but they were support. But some of them get attached to teams, and they get to see that fight, so that's why I got to see. We went to Bagram that first year. I believe it was August 2005. Nope, it was early, probably April or May. 2005. We got there, set up, got to see stuff around. Then Operation Red Wings kicked off.
Oh, yeah.
And, they were like, hey, we need a commo guy to go with the SEALs to be the Siege of guy to send back messages. And I'm like, and they're like, hey, Rick, you gonna go? And I was like, I need somebody to go with me. And had my buddy Juan. He had just came back from a deployment with B-23. B-23 is the SIF team. And so he knew his commo stuff. He was their commo guy in Iraq. And so I was like, hey, and he was my buddy. And I was like, hey, I need you to come with me because I don't know what we're doing. I don't know how to put this thing together. You think I was in the SIG that I learned, but I wasn't confident in it.
Yeah.
To go with these guys. So me and him went. We sat in the planning room for Operation Red Wings with the SEALs. I think like 2 days later it was a go. Then we left. All those Chinooks came into Bagram. We left. We inserted the team. And then from that, we inserted a team, and then we went to JBAD. And then JBAD, we set up our communications and stuff. And,
now,
started
was
receiving.
that the Michael Murphy team and all them?
Yep,
Okay.
Yep. So we started receiving information, and eventually they started missing their windows. So we were in a Marine talk.
Okay.
So we had the Marine talk. They were pretty much tracking the entire thing, and then we were tracking minimal stuff, relaying what they had, and we would relay it back to Siege Odof. And, then they get those phone calls, from the Iridium, and, shit hit the fan. It was crazy. I went to bed that morning, and stuff was already going on where they were missing their windows. So I switched out with Juan, and I was like, hey, I'm going to go take a nap. Next thing you know, Commander Stevenson comes into the tent where all the Marines are in there tomorrow. And they're like, hey, the guy's been compromised. Let's go. And everybody jumped up, grabbed their stuff. And I'm like, holy crap. All right. And, I'm like, I want to go too. And but of course it was I'm sorry, Marines, but it was a Navy operation.
Yeah.
So he got in an argument with one of the commanders there, and he basically told him, I'm leaving. I'm going to get my men. And they pretty much went out there, got on that bird, and that bird decided to go. And then when that bird got shot down, that whole entire talk went silent.
I bet.
And I will always remember that. And I'm like, it's just a feeling. So the next 3 days were hectic, and we were trying to do different things.
Wow, so you were in the talk, and you got the word that the bird got shot down with all the SEALs in it.
Yep.
Oh man.
Yep. So like I said, that was a moment where, it's crazy. So then the next 3 days they're trying to get resupply in. The Rangers were close to getting in. Then weather came bad. They had to pull them back. Went over to where the Rangers were because they were in charge of the rescue operations. And, it was like, all right, well, I'm like, maybe they have their GPS on. Maybe that. So I made a recommendation to roll back one of the SDN. They're like, well, we can't roll back the entire, theater. I was like, no, maybe just an SDN, roll that back, see where it's at. If they're pinging out there, because it was ComSec changeover. And I believe ComSec changeover was the issue with no comms.
Oh, yeah.
That's one of the things I believe strongly about. I was a commo guy, and they did ComSec changeover. And so that's why I recommend to roll back an SDN and see if we can ping them. If they're pinging off their GPS, or every time they squelch, you're picking up the signal.
And they probably had the old fill. Yeah.
Yep. So that's what I believe. They didn't change their fill.
Yeah.
So that's why the reason for rolling back. Then eventually I left, and we stayed out there 2 more days, and then me and Juan flew back to Bagram, and then they found him shortly afterwards.
Okay.
So
yeah. Now, y'all change your fill every day back then?
No, it was
once a week.
Once a week.
Okay, gotcha.
Once a week. I think the changeover were Sundays or Mondays. I can't remember, but it was once a week.
Okay.
Once a week. ComSec changeover day. Yeah, so it was once a week. And so did that, and went back to Bagram, and was there, and I was in the gym working out, and this guy comes in there, and he's looking at me, and he's like, well, hey, what do you do? And I was like, oh, I'm a commo guy. He's like, oh, are you a team guy, a commo guy? I was like, yeah, I am. He's like, oh, you want to come to a team? I was like, yeah, of course. You know?
Speaking
He's
my
like,
language.
Who's in charge of you? I was like, oh, Sergeant Crawl. No. He was like, all right, I'm going to go talk to him. I was like, okay, cool. You know, the guy's name was, he was Master Sergeant Robert Abernathy. I don't know if you know who that is.
No, educate the people on him.
So Master Sergeant Robert Abernathy, he was, of course, my team sergeant. He became my team sergeant that year, ODA 325. And eventually he moved on to become a battalion sergeant major, and eventually he became the USASOC sergeant major.
Oh, wow.
And then I think he left that. Went to that, and he went over to Europe and was a sergeant major over there. He retired last year. Last year he retired, but yeah, that was my team. My first team sergeant came and recruited me.
Awesome.
And
why do you think that is?
I mean, I was just in the gym working out.
Okay.
I'm just looking good. Maybe he needed a workout partner because he was in there. Nobody wanted to work out with him. He's like, well, this guy works out. I was like, let's go. You know, and that was it. You know, I went there. And I was like, holy crap, I'm going to a team. And once again, you know, I'm just like, I'm not touched up on all the commo stuff. So I went there, and the guy that was there, he was getting ready to go back to do a board or something. So I was like, hey, all you need to show me is how to put this fill into this kick 13, A and CD to that.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to figure everything else out, remember it or however. And he did, and I wrote it all down, and then I took over as the commo guy for the team and, you know, figured it out.
There you go.
Of course, my warrant officer, Chief Gronowski, I didn't know he was a commo guy, but then it made sense because he was all over my shit every day. You know, it was just like, why is he all in my shit, man? You know, and he ended up becoming a USASOC warrant. So it was a very successful team of leaders and great men. Our team leader then was Ken Dwyer, so Colonel Dwyer now. You familiar with him?
Yeah, I've heard his name before.
Yeah. So he was my team leader. Rob Abernathy, Scott Gronowski, Hal Hubert. So, you know, a bunch of good guys. They were all like scuba qualified, Ranger qualified. You know, so that was a team to go to and be on. And they didn't give me much crap because it came from regiment, but and I had my Ranger tab. So, but it was good. So I did that deployment with them. Then we came back home.
What was it like switching to a team, like in the middle of a deployment?
I mean, it was reality.
Yeah.
It's like no more fun. You're in Bagram, you're having fun.
Oh,
Let me
absolutely.
tell you, you're having fun. Best time of my life. Not even that deployment, but the next one. But yeah, and it's the mode. That mode had to be on, and you know, you got all these guys like, who are you? Oh, new guy? Oh, commo guy. We better have internet.
Yeah.
Okay. We better have
Our
it.
comms better be perfect.
Yeah, but the internet better be up. So yeah, so that mode switch right there, and you know, then I was the driver for Rob. So so you know, we had our gun truck and stuff like that. So definitely an experience.
Yeah.
So you know, we didn't get into any direct combat on that deployment. You know, there was always just rockets, IED. We had a team come in and get hit with an IED. I actually left the team to go back and do the board, and the guy that took my place, they hit an IED, and he hurt it back, and he hurt his back.
Yeah.
You know, so I was like, crap, you know. And then once I got done with the board and stuff, I went back. You know, they didn't want to send me back because they said I belonged to the SIGDET.
Yeah.
And so there was one person in there that didn't like me. And he was like, you're not going back to that team. You need to finish your time here. I was like, whatever, First Sergeant. Whatever. He's a little angry dude. You know, so.
Well, I don't think he had more pull than who was wanting you to go on the team, yeah?
Well, that's what happened.
Yeah.
So the group sergeant major went out to the teams. Sergeant Major LaFound went out to the teams, saw Rob Abernathy, and they got to talking. And Rob's like, hey, I had a young 18 Echo here. You know, the guy knew his stuff, and, you know, what's up? He's saying he can't come back. And then he was like, no worries. So LaFound comes back, and he tells the first sergeant, whoever he was, well, the first sergeant, he's like, I don't know what you said or what you did, you know, to get you back, but you're gonna go back to your team. I was like, Roger that, First Sergeant. You know, he's like, cool. He's like,
Appreciate you.
I was like, I don't know why you don't like me, but the gym is right here if you want to go handle some business. He's like, move out, Murillo. I was like, Roger that, First Sergeant. You know? But yeah, I went back and I finished time with the team and came back. Like I said, it was ODA 325. So in order for me to stay on the team, I would have to go to scuba, pre-scuba.
Oh, yeah.
So either that or I got to go finish my time in the SIGDET.
Yeah.
So I came back. I was probably like 180, 183, no cardio.
Oh, man.
So we were just straight up in the gym, working out. I might have walked up the hill once or twice, but, you know, that was it. And I wasn't, like I said, I didn't like the water, you know, so I went to pre-scuba. Yeah, made it like a week. And I'm like, I don't think I'm going to make the top 6 out of 13. Number 13 was always at the bottom of the pool. And they were like, oh, say your name social. And then I was like, barely could do that. Then they're like, say it with this brick. And I'm like, oh, whoop, right down bottom. So, yeah, so I had to go back to the SIGDET. And that was just like crap, you know? Been on team, now back to the SIGDET. And I did a whole year with the SIGDET. It was first one was 05, 06, and the next one was 06, 07. Did that year with them. And I knew the ins and outs, and I knew team life, and I knew SIGDET life, and, you know, and it was a very interesting deployment. Very, you know, just enjoyed it. It was probably better than being home. And, you know, went to Pakistan for about a week. Got to do that. Got to do MDMP, military decision-making planning and or process. And got sick there in Pakistan. Story about that is, you know, they eat curry every day. We went to their SSG, which is their Special Strategic Group, which is their SF, which is on top of a mountain. Beautiful. It's just crazy how it is. So it was a couple of us. They were like, hey, I was like, well, what do I teach comma-wise? It's like, well, you want to teach them something, but don't teach them everything. You won't give them our secrets. My class was like 3 or 4 minutes with like 6 slides. Yeah.
You have to have a translator?
No, I did we? I can't remember if we did, but they was like, that's it. I was like, that's it. That's my class. He's like, you're supposed to put a lot more into that. I said, you told me not to. So I didn't. Basically, I said, hit the radio, signal goes up, hits the satellite, comes back down, bounce, you talk. That's about it. That's about the gist of it. I didn't want to tell him anything. I didn't know I was supposed to go into more details, but yeah. And then, so we got sick. There was a major there, and the major was like, who plays chess? And I was with my buddy. He's the PAO guy, and he was a good friend of mine. I knew him from the SIGDET. So he was like, oh, that guy right there. He was like, oh, that guy with the muscles? It's like, yeah, he's our chess guy. That's the guy who played chess. He's like, all right. He's like, I want to play chess with you. I was like, anytime. And I get sick, and I ignore him. Because we're sick. He comes to my hooch where we're at. There's like 3 of us in there with his security, and he's like, we will play chess now. I was like, no, we will not. I was like, I am sick. And it was like, Rick, you don't want to have an international incident. You already had one with your no sleeves. So we were there doing PT with no sleeves and Ranger shorts. That got banded real quick, you know, because of the women that were on the compound. They'd walk by the gym, and then, you know, like they would see like some major like, where's your sleeves? I was like, knee sleeves. I'm working out. This is in Pakistan.
Okay, Pakistan.
Yeah. So they're like, you already caused one incident, you know, with wearing no sleeves and Ranger panties. So let's how about we just play them in chess? I said, okay, all right, fine.
That's what the wife tells me. She banned me from having no sleeves going to the gym.
So he comes in, and I'm just like, sick as hell. So we play, and you know, probably about 15 minutes, he beats me, and I'm just like, you win. Have a great day. You know.
He wants to play again.
Yeah. And then their body odor, because they don't do a lot of hygiene.
Yes.
They don't believe in hygiene. They're natural. Let's call them they're natural. Was not very well. So being sick and smelling natural was like really making me like nauseous. And but he's like, no, you did not play to your full potential. I said, all right, man, you want it? I'm going to give it to you. Let's go. And we played, and I beat him. And I was like, all right, now, y'all get out. Get out now. And leave me alone. You know?
No, he wanted his get back.
Oh, he's mad. He's mad. But that was it. I never played him again. And go back to a funny story with Rob Abernathy.
Mm-hmm.
I played chess with him, and he beat me for like at least 3 to 4 months straight. Straight, nonstop. Then I beat him once, and I never played him ever since. I seen him, you know, I went to his retirement, and I was like, hey, you want that rematch in the chess? He's like, yeah, I do. I was like, too bad. I'm gonna walk away with something right now from one of the top sergeant majors. I beat him in chess. I'll tell everybody at the bar. Yeah.
So after that deployment, you did the rest of the time in SIGDAT, right?
That whole deployment, yes, that was a 8-month deployment. Come back home, and that my first sergeant there, he was just like, "You need to go find a job.
Mm-hmm.
You're done with the SIGDAT.
Yeah.
You're done with SIGDAT. You're having too much fun. Go find a job." I was like, "All right, cool." So I went to where Julian was at. Julian was still there.
In 2nd Battalion?
In 2nd Battalion,
Okay.
Charlie Company.
Mm-hmm.
And Julian goes, he's like, "Hey, come here. I'm teaching a SOTAC class. You're SOTAC qualified, right?" I was like, yeah, I am. He's like, "Well, yeah, come on." He's like, you'll be like my assistant instructor. I was like, "All right, but I ain't seen the slides or anything." He's like, "Just answer questions." I was like, "Okay." So the whole company comes in. Julian gets up. He's like, "Hey, Sergeant Julian Martin, I'm going to be teaching your SOTAC class today. This is the FNU guy, you know, Rick Murillo."
FNG?
Yeah. And I'm just sitting there. I'm like, you know, and these are all seasoned guys too, which I'll tell you later. I'm like, okay. And I just sit back. And Julian's like, wow. He's like, "Well, welcome to SOTAC. We're going to talk about close air support." Look at the time. I got to go. Got an appointment. Rick's going to take over. I'm like, what?
Oh, man.
Hell. Yep. And good thing I coming from Ranger Regiment. Now I went to SOTAC in 05 05 I think when I got there, and I smoked it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, one of my FSNCO was an instructor at SOTAC when I got there. So, and he was one of those guys that, you know, had to kick me out and send me to Korea. So now I show up to SOTAC as an E5 with tabbed out, and he's just like, "Holy crap, you made it." I was like, "I did make it." He's like, "Well, let's see if you make this." And he was on me because he knew I knew not everything, but I knew the curriculum of SOTAC and being there. So yeah, so I knew it. So then I was like, "All right, well, here I go," you know.
Right.
And I was like, slide, and I would talk about the slide. Sometimes I would jump ahead and I would go to the next slide. And I was like, "Oh, as I previously stated," bam, bam, bam. So I did the class. I did well, you know, and they were like, "Well, Rick's looking for a job," you know. So there was 2 teams. There was the Halo team, 3-4, and then there was 3-3, which 3-3 was the top team in the company. It was between them and the Halo team. And Paul LeFavor was our team sergeant. He's an ex-CAG guy. Got shot in the throat, came back, did some time there in group, and was one of the best team sergeants there, you know, and had the team. He stood up the team like it was like a cell in CAG.
Oh, wow.
Delta. So the team was broken up into cells, and all these guys were on their stuff, and you know, so they're like, "All right, well, there's 2 teams." I was like, "Which team won?" So LeFavor and Jorge had to go and talk about it, and you know, because Paul was the best team there, so I ended up going there.
Nice.
You know, and they're like, they bring me into the team room, and you got the bottom has all the equipment, and then you go upstairs where everybody's chairs at, desk, and I'm standing at the bottom, and it's like, "Well, what can you bring to the team?" You know, I was like, "Well, I came from Ranger Regiment, you know, I did SOTAC, I'm a jump master, you know, so-and-so." And they're like, "Okay, all right." And then the guy that was standing next to me when I first got to group that ended up in 2nd Battalion, he was on that team. And he looks at me, he goes, "Yeah, so what can you bring to the team?" I was like, "Well, let me tell you something, first of all. I would be in your spot if I was standing on the opposite side of you. Do you remember me?" And he's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Yeah, we were both at the headquarters, and one of us had to go to SIGDAT, and one of us went to a team. So this is where you're at." So not only that, but, you know, I got plenty of experience, so I'm good to go. And then my other buddy Harold, he was just like, that's a good answer for me. And yeah. But we had like 3 echoes on that team, and it was just like, I'm not gonna treat you like a junior because you've been deployment and all this, you know. And I just had some great guys on that team: Ed LaChance, Harold Dahmer, Ross Morgan, Josh Franny, Brian Pete, Justin Williams, Jason Somerville. That was like the core team with Paul LaFavor, and our team leader was Russ Forkin. So I mean, but that team was solid, you know. It was good. Training was there.
What year was this?
This was 2007.
Okay, so we were still hot and heavy with
2007. So yeah,
both Iraq and Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm. And we went into, you know, we got ready to deploy. We deployed as a team, and you know, we did a PMT in Hawthorne, Nevada. So we jumped in, and hot as ever. But jumped in, did some good training, horseback riding. You know, that was interesting, and then deployed, and it's a good group of guys to work with. Eventually, we did the invasion of Musa Calais, which I think at that time was probably like the 4th time, and they probably invaded it again 3 more times. So, but it was more of a dog and pony show.
Yeah.
Unless you were in the 82nd. So we were teaming up with other forces, French, British. It was like a 250 vehicle convoy rolling through the desert.
Yeah.
So if they don't see you were coming, you know, then whatever. But the 82nd was actually the ones that went in there, set up the outer perimeter. I believe they lost three guys or 4 guys.
Oh wow.
I believe so. And one of my best friends, Tony Fusco, was the first sergeant in the 82nd. And
this was 07?
This was 07.
Yeah, I was over there then.
So they were there, and I always give credit to them, you know, because when we went into Musa Calais, we didn't fire 1 shot, not 1 shot.
You didn't have to.
They were all gone.
Yeah,
they're all gone. They, you know, 82nd came and set out the outer perimeter, got into a couple firefights, but everybody in the town left because it wasn't the first time, probably. Like I said, they invaded that place many times, but we went in there, and not 1 shot fired. You know, nothing really big, and it was a good time. Then we left there, went back to Fob Price because that's where we were at. But we were supposed to stay there and build a fire base. But our team sergeant, we had switched out team sergeant, and this guy, we went from Paul LaFavor, boom, 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 hut, 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 to Ruben, which was like, hey, let's just chill. You know? So it was just like, we're going to do what we need to do. He was squared away, but he was just on a real chill mode where Paul was just like, hut, 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 you're going. And so different leadership feeling, and then we rode back to Fob Price, and we're there probably about a couple hours, and we get a phone call and say, hey, you guys need to go back to Musa Calais, and that's where you're going to stay, and that's where you're going to build a fire base. Yeah. We're like, holy crap. All right.
You're like, it sucks there.
It does suck there. So we went back, and went back there. I became the money guy, so I had to fly back to Kandahar, picked up, I think it was like 180,000 Afghani, you know, and start to collect, you know, equipment and everything we need, prepare jingle trucks and stuff like that. So this was actually becoming a SF mission, a FID, where you're building the fire base. You know, so I was like, man, this is cool. So we go back, build a fire base. You know, we're there. We had Prince Harry there. So yeah, Prince Harry. Wow. Prince Harry was at our fire base. I'll tell you a story about him. Yeah. So we're there, and my warrant, Dave Riley, I forgot to mention him, but yeah, Chief. He came from B-23. Chief was a cool, fun dude. So Chief was all over Prince Harry's nuts. I say that because Chief would be like,
he was a fan.
He would have all our hats, and like, oh, we got hats. And he's like, oh no, this is for the British, for Prince Harry. It's like, man, Chief, you know. So me and Harold are out, you know, walking around, and these 3 guys walk up, and they're British guys, and then they look at me and it's like, hey, we're looking for your warrant officer, your chief. And And I was like, oh, yeah, he's over there. And then he's like, the guy looks at me, Prince Harry. And he looks at me, and I would always have these new hats on, and I would leave my tags on.
Yeah.
And he smacks my tag, and he goes, hey, bloke, you got your tag on. I was like, hey, motherfucker, you touch my hat again, I'm going to fuck you up. And he's like, whoa, calm down. And they're like, and then Harold's like, hey, the building's over there. And then he walks away, and Harold goes, you know who that was? I said, I don't give a fuck who that was. You shouldn't have touched my hat. He said, man, that was Prince Harry. I was like, well, guess what? Prince Harry ain't going to touch people's hat anymore. You know?
Good think twice.
Yeah. Then a week later, I needed a helicopter. I needed a ride and he was the air guy. And so I needed a ride to go back to Kandahar. And they're like, well, you know who the air guy is over there. And I was like, it's Prince Harry. You know, Prince Harry, later on, Chief comes up to us and he's like, yeah, Prince Harry came in there and he was like, hey, I just ran into 2 of your ruffians and one threatened to beat me up because I touched his hat, his tag. He goes, oh, yeah, that's Rick. Don't touch Rick's hat. You know? And like I said, a week later, I go and I walk in there I was like, hey, you're the air guy, right? He goes, whoa, don't beat me up. And I was like, I'm not, man, unless you get me a helicopter here. And then 2 weeks later, I get shot. And they said that's what you get for messing with Prince Harry.
Oh, man. That's what I wanted to talk about, man. You getting shot.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how did that transpire?
That
Was it a wrong place, wrong time type of deal? Or
No, we were out and about.
Okay.
We were out and about. We were, I think it was like a week or 2 week, searching different compounds.
Mm-hmm.
We went to one. We actually got caught in a firefight like the day before. So the day before was January 25th, 2008. And we were out on this mission. I remember Brian and Justin got pinned behind this building from a sniper, and they were just shooting at him. And we're off to the side. And, you know, when you got these small buildings and you got these big guys that are making themselves smaller than the building, and we're laughing at them. Like, y'all stupid for running out there. That's crazy. And so then they were like, all right, we got Cass coming in.
Mm.
So the captain went to go throw the smoke, and like he just like, ugh. Like, sir, be for real.
Come on.
Let's get it. So he's like, well, what? It's like, well, go get the smoke and throw it out there. So he runs, jumps over the wall, grabs the smoke, throws it, and now you got 3 of them behind this wall.
Oh.
And you're like, oh, hell. Cass comes in, lights it up, and then we end up going sleeping in the valley, and I called my mom that night. You know, it was January 25th, so it was my mom's birthday. So I called my mom, wished her happy birthday, called my soon-to-be ex-wife. It wasn't a good conversation, but, you know.
They never are.
They never are, you know. She said, I hope you get shot and die. I was like, whatever. I hung up the phone. Then the next day rolls around, and we roll into this village, and I'll never forget, we get to the village, the front, we're talking, and, you know, our team sergeant, team leader's talking to the Terp's talking to the village elder, and he's like, hey, well, we've got suspected activity, we've got, you know, weapons for, you know, the Taliban, and we need to come search it. And the elder's like, blah, 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 blah. And then the Terp goes, well, what did he say? He goes, he said, okay. Like, all that, and he said, okay? No. But he said, okay, well, you know, give us a moment.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes back in there. 30 minutes later, you start to see all the women and children leaving. And that's an indicator.
Yeah,
So your indicator,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, all right, well, maybe, you know, it's an indicator, you know, we get to search it, but something's about to go down. And, you know, standing there with the ODA, you know, or signal team, you know, I don't think we had a CA team with us, but we had our signal team with us, and everybody's seen it. And I believe everybody at that point could have made a decision and say, I'm not going in there, because they know what that's about to be like. They know what's about to go down. But everybody, you know, hey, let's go. About to go. About to get it on. And we roll in there. 2 trucks take the high ground. Then we're with our A&A forces. So they're at the bottom clearing, and boom, shit just start hitting the fan. RPGs, you know, they're shooting, but he's shooting down the alleyway, and I'm at the top. and I'm over here. We're dropping mortars, so I'm spotting. Justin's shooting to 60. It's landing, then we mark it for cast. So shot some WP, mark it for cast or JTAC calls in cast. Drops a couple bombs, strafing run. And once he dropped that, I remember looking over, and there was a guy in the wood line. I would say it was about 80 meters on the Viper. I was like, oh, I got another one. And boom, sprayed us with the machine gun.
Oh.
I remember hitting up, and it was me, Team Zarnt, Justin. We're all just standing right there, And I had my binos, so it's not like I was shooting, because my friend, they always make fun of me. They was like, Rick out there, sightseeing, and they got shot. Because, it went here, split here, went in here, came out the back, 1 to the chest, and then 3 in the stomach area, right? So
But your plate did a job, huh?
Oh, it did a job, yeah. It did a job. So I hit the ground, my arm locked up, and I'm like, holy crap, I've been shot. And then I say that, and my buddy hears it on the radio, and he hears me, and he gets on the radio, and he goes, pimp down. And then the captain gets on the radio, and he goes, Rick, stop fucking around on the radio. I was like, nope, pretty sure I've been shot. And, so now Justin pulls me off to the side, ripping my stuff off. I'm like, Justin, they're still shooting. And the captain's trying to jump on the 50 cal. I was like, don't let him jump on the 50 cal. You get up there. And Harold is my medic. He's on the other truck. And we got to name our missions. So the name of the mission was Harold.
Oh, okay.
Harold's a black guy,
Oh.
right? So Harold runs over. He leans over at me. He goes, Rick, you good? And I go, what the hell, Harold? He goes, oh, man, yeah. I go, they should have shot your black ass because this was named after you. And he was like, really? That's what you're going to say to me? And I was like, yeah. And then he starts checking me. I was like, he's like, how you doing? I was like, I'm good. They got me in my paintball arm, but I'm good. And he's like, all right. So I was like, am I going to make it? And he's like, yeah. And probably like 10 minutes later, he gets on the radio. He's like, we need to get out of here now. We need to go. I was like, hey, I thought you said I was going to make it. And he's like, oh, no, you're good. He's like, we got to go now, And I have some of this like on recording and little videos here and there. So we load up. They put me on a stretcher. I didn't need to be on a stretcher.
You can walk.
I could walk. And they put me on the Humvee, on the front of the Humvee, and Harold sits on the end. I was like, I don't think this is safe, Harold. He's like, don't worry, I got you. And he's there with his guy. I was like, huh. And we get behind this, we call the medevac, and they couldn't come in because they, shit just erupted even more. And it's like they knew they did something, and it just erupted more. So then the cast guy got to do his job. So he was just dropping bombs and just strafing.
Now, did y'all have rotary wing or fixed wing?
We had fixed wing.
Okay, good.
So we had A-10s out there, and I think we had a F-16 out there. I'll show you the video later, but I know you can see the A-10. And I'm laying on the cot. And my Team Sergeant, Harold, and Ross is at my foot, and the Terpa's right there. And I'm on the cot for no reason, and I'm just like, and Ross is like, hey, can we give you some morphine? I was like, I don't need no morphine. He's like, come on, man, I'll give you some morphine. We ain't never going to get to do this again. I was like, hell no, Ross, they still shooting at us. He's like, man, whatever. And then they taped a fentanyl lollipop to my hand. So I had that for the rest of the ride. We finally get to where the LZ was for the helicopters. And at this point now, I'm back inside the Humvee, and I'm passing out, because of the lollipop, and I'm just like on the thing. Harold comes running over, and he sees me like passed out. He starts banging on it. He's like, Rick, don't go, Rick. And I look up. I was like, this is good lollipop right here. And he was like, man, I thought you were gone. I was like, no, that's good. And we set up the perimeter. Afghani's on the outside. We're on the inside. And then I'm over here. The helicopter lands. And I know Josh was saying when the helicopter was coming in, all the Afghanis turned around. They're all eating. And they're just staring at everybody. We're pulling no security. And And yeah, so then the helicopter lands, and we're over here, and all these British guys come running out, and it's like, hut, 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 and they like set up this perimeter, and we're just looking at them. I know I was high. I was like, what are these idiots doing? You know, I was like, we already got this. And then we get on the helicopter, and there was like 3 British nurses on there, and they're like, who got shot? And I was like, me. It was like, oh, we got to take your shirt off. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, Harold, you need to come with me. I can't be by myself. He's like, nah, Rick, I got to go. I was like, all right, you know. And he gets off. All the British guys get on the bird. We take off, and all that came over the radio was, you know, been shot 5 times, you know, and then that's it.
Did you feel a lot of pain?
No.
Okay.
Especially after the lollipop.
Okay.
Like when it happened, my arm locked up, and that was it.
How long did it lock up for?
That was, well, until I got to the hospital.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it locked up, and then he bandaged it and put it all in place. And we get to Bastion, because we were right there. We got to Bastion, and 2 of my guys were out there waiting. One guy I went through the Q course with, he was Echo. He was on 6'3" before me, and then the dental assistant. And because they heard the roster number. And everybody at this point, because especially being in the SIGDET, everybody looked up that roster number, and they were like, holy crap, it's Rick. Rick's been shot. And so I get off the helicopter, and his name is Luke Norchek. And we went to the Max game together in Oklahoma.
Okay.
And we're sitting there. It's like 2 a.m. He's cranking the battery. And we start talking, and he's like, said something. I was like, where you from? He's like, yeah, I'm Polish. You know, I'm Polish. I was like, oh, so you're a Jew? He's like, no, I'm Polish. I was like, yeah, whatever. So ever since then, I called him the Jew.
Oh,
and that was
my
his
God.
nickname. So everybody knew, like, I said, hey, you seen the Jew? And then it was like, even his friends are like, hey, the Jew's in town. And yeah, I'm not Jewish, I'm Polish. Rick's just an idiot. And I was just like, maybe because I was up at 3 a.m. cranking batteries, but to me, the Jew sounded right. So I get off the helicopter, and he's there and another guy. I was like, oh, the Jew. And he's like,
Oh, my God.
He's like, are you okay? I was like, yeah. I was like, they got me in my arm, my paintball arm. He's like, you okay? They say you got shot like 5 times. I was like, I guess so. I don't know, you know? And we walk into the hospital, walk into the room. All the doctors like have their gloves, and they're ready to go. And they're like, who got shot? I was like, that's me. I'm here. I'm shot.
You're like, oh.
Man was like, huh, you okay? I was like, yeah, I'm good. It's in my arm, you know? So they take off the bandage, and they're like holding my arm up. It's like, wow. And this was all split. It was
Yeah.
like split. And it's like, does that hurt? I was like, nah, it doesn't hurt. And I guess she touched it, and I passed out. And then I wake up later on, and then they're like, I was like, I guess it hurt.
Yeah.
Because she touched it, and I passed out like nothing. And yeah, so I wake up in the hospital, and the guys come see me. The dental assistant, he comes and he brings me the phone so I could call my mom, and I call my mom.
Was she freaking out?
Oh, she's freaking out.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, they tried to ruin my birthday. I was like, I know, right, Mom? They tried to ruin your birthday. And then call my ex-wife. She's crying on the phone. I was like, don't cry. You put this evil on me. I was like, you wait till I get home. I'm finalizing this shit. So then after that, I tell people it was the best 3 months of my life. Going from there, my team brought me back. They made sure I got off the X. So I maintained relations with those guys up to this day. 2 of them came. We went golfing for my birthday before I came here.
Okay.
But flying back to Kandahar, there's people there, meet me, stuff like that. Flying to Bagram, doing the Purple Heart ceremony. I think General Rodriguez gave me my Purple Heart. And then going home. Well, going to Germany. I went to Germany.
Went to Landstuhl?
Yeah. No. Is it Landstuhl?
That's where the hospital
I
is.
think it was Landstuhl, yeah. I went there, left the hospital without permission. Well, I kind of had permission. But, I had an ex-girlfriend there. She was in the Air Force. And so she came to visit me. And then I was like, well, let's go to dinner and hang out. She's like, I don't think you're supposed to leave the hospital. Then there was a young lieutenant there, had a Ranger tab. I convinced him that I was okay and I could leave.
Oh.
And he was like, well, I'm just telling him that you're in the hospital somewhere. I was like, cool, whatever. And so I left. And then my buddy's son came to visit me. And it just so happened to call the hospital to check in and make sure I was there. It was like, well, actually, you have a visitor here. And they give him the phone. His name was Willie. And he's like, where you at? I was like, I'm at my friend's house getting ready to go to dinner. He's like, you got shot. You just going to walk out? He's like, I was like, yeah, pretty much. I was like, meet me at the restaurant. Then we go partying afterwards.
Oh, gosh.
And so he did, came back. And I expected to be healed up and everything and get sent right back. And but this was too much, they said. So so they were like, hey, we got to send you home. You know, but it's mainly because I wasn't sitting still. I was out partying, so I probably ripped the whole thing. And so then I went home. My best friends picked me up. You know, hung out at home for about 2 months. The Giants won the Super Bowl that year, February 3rd.
Is that when they beat the Patriots?
I think so. February 3rd, 2008. I remember coming home. My friend, he was a Giants fan. And so we watched the Super Bowl. Then we went out.
Yeah.
And I drank every day. I drank Jameson every day except one day I was sick. And partied every day.
You think that hindered your healing process?
No.
Yeah.
I think they're like, and I healed up in a month and a half. They even had this vacuum thing that they wanted me to wear, and it would suck out all the leakage here on the side. And I remember going in there, and I was like, and they turned it on. And I was like, oh no, I can't wear that. I was like, what do you mean? I was like, I can't wear that. I got someplace to be tonight, walking around with this thing like that. So she was like, okay, well, you know, come back in 3 days and we'll clean your wounds and you'll look at it again. Come back in 3 days, clean my wound. And they're like, well, you got to put this on. I was like, I got something to do today. I was like, I can't put that on. Sorry. So then, boom, I come back another 3 days. And she was like, all right, well, you got to put it on. I was like, so how about this? I don't think I'm going to wear that. She's like, well, don't you want to heal up and go back? I was like, I do, but I don't think I need that. You know, she's like, all right. So she gets the doctor. Doctor comes in. Doctor, you know, she's like, you're SF Ranger guy, right? I was like, yeah. She goes, yeah. She goes, I'm dating one of you guys. She's like, you don't want this? I was like, yeah. I believe that this is not going to help me, and it's all about patient satisfaction, and I am not satisfied with this thing on my hip. Okay. She was like, all right, well, it's just going to affect your healing. I was like, okay, well, cool, I'm good. You know. I healed up by March. First week in March, I healed up, and I was just like ready to go. So I went to go see her. She did the paperwork. I was like, whoa, can we push this off for like a week or so? And she was like, let me guess, Savannah? I was like, yes, St. Patrick's Day. She's like, all right, go handle your business in Savannah, go party, and come back and I'll give you your paperwork. I was like, sweet. So my buddy, I was in Ranger Bag, he flew in from Texas, picked him up. And we went and partied in Savannah. And my buddy Harold was telling me, because I was sending videos back, I was like, this Mo dude is not acting like somebody who got shot. And he's just out there partying nonstop in a limo somewhere, you know. Yeah. So I came back, got the paperwork. Yep. Kind of left without permission, but I made it happen. And, you know, the sergeant major there didn't want me to go.
Didn't want to go back on deployment?
They want me to go back to Afghanistan. He wanted me, his words when I came back was like, hey, just stay. I was like, hey, I want to heal up and go back. And he was like, nah, you're just going to stay here and wait for your team to come back. And I was like, okay, whatever. So then I went back to see him with my paperwork, and he knew what I was there for, and he just didn't, he had me sitting outside for like an hour. And I was like, all right, that's cool. And the team sergeant there, I was like, hey, I'm out. I know Sergeant Major saw me, but I'm out. He's like, well, you're not going to talk to him? I was like, he knows what I'm here for. But you know what? I'm out. So I went back to my company where my team sergeant was at, the old team sergeant, the first one, Paul. And he's like, what's up? I was like, well, here's my paperwork. I'm cleared medically to go back and everything. He's like, well, what did Sergeant Major say? I was like, he wasn't much for words. He's like, when do you want to go? I was like, next thing, smoking. He's like, there's a bus that leaves in 3 days. sounds great.
Mm-hmm.
And I was on that bus in 3 days from Bragg to Maryland, Maryland to Germany, Germany to Manus. And then they only had 3 slots on the plane. So it was me and E8 and 3 new guys. And I was like, all right, well, here it is. Not going to tell you, E8, what to do. You're obviously going to get on this plane.
Mm-hmm.
But you 3 guys are new, and you ain't got no place to go to. I have a team to go back to, and I'm going to it. So I'm going on this plane, And the master sergeant, he was just like, well, yeah, he is. He's like, you 3 fight it out, figure it out. Figure it out. But I'm going on this plane. He's definitely going on this plane. So I went back, got to Bagram, got there, checked in. Nobody knew I was coming back. Nobody knew. I was flying way under the radar. And because
they figured your deployment's done. You got shot.
So I get to Bagram. They say, hey, we got a flight going out to Kandahar. I was like, sweet. So I got on that flight to Kandahar. Got to Kandahar. There was actually a memorial that night. They just lost a guy. And there was like, Rick, there's actually a ring flight going out to your fire base tonight. So I went to the memorial, the Plainside Memorial, and then boom, caught a 2 a.m., 3 a.m. ring flight to Firebase Musa Calais. But we stopped in Bastion, and my company sergeant major was there. 3 guys were there from the team. They were transporting someone, and I get off the helicopter, and they're like, my buddy Ricky was like, holy crap, man, what are you doing here? I was like, I'm back, man. And then the company sergeant major was like, he's like, I didn't know you were coming back. I was like, oh, well, I'm back, sergeant major.
Here.
He's like, and I'm looking at what's going on. I was like, I don't even want to know what's going on right now. There's some stuff going on. People with zip ties that weren't supposed to be zip tied. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. Then we fly from there. We landed at Firebase. Justin, my Bravo, rolls up on the ATV. I'm getting off the helicopter, and he's like, holy crap, what are you doing here? I was like, I'm back. He's like, man, we didn't know you were coming back. I was like, yep. He's like, the generator just went out. I was like, man, I'm about to get back on this helicopter. You ain't got no power? Here you go. So I get in, I walk in, people hear the commotion, and they're like, wake up, and it's like, holy crap, Rick, you're back. I was like, yeah. And then we had a mission that morning, like 9 o'clock. It was a civil affairs mission. We're going out with them. And Team Sergeant was like, well, you don't have to go out if you want to. I was like, let me tell you, I didn't travel across the world right now to come back and not go out. So let's make this happen. So that stayed there, finished out the time with my team, came back with the team, and it was good. And it's kind of where things started going a little south after that.
Yeah, let's talk about that. You get back from deployment.
So get back from deployment, and, we're living our rock star life.
Yeah.
Came back from deployment. We're a tight team. We're, get shot, come back, just out partying, drinking. Who's going to question the guy who got shot and then went back, And so, just drinking and partying more, Eventually, we get a new team sergeant, and me and him were button heads. We go to Wilmington, we do like exercise out there, and we were just button heads. It was not like I gotta say, I didn't respect him. As a team sergeant, it was always told, hey, you gotta be a senior jump master, you gotta have Ranger tab, you gotta have all these schools, and he just came in there, and he didn't want to put up this chart board that shows everybody qualifications, and realized he only had 2 more than me. But there was guys in there that had more than me though. Then I was just like, man, you shouldn't be a team sergeant. This guy should be a team sergeant. But so it was just a clash of personality.
Yeah.
The guy was a good dude. But I just didn't. It was just one of those things. And eventually we would get into it, and he kicked me off the team. So I went to the B team. And I was like, oh, well, whatever. I'll work on the B team, and then I'll find another team. And that's just where it just started going downhill even more. Because now I really didn't have much responsibility, except making sure the teams knew what they were doing or had their ammo and stuff like that. And we had a full B team of people drinking, partying. Then eventually I went back to SOTAC, and I got a DUI in SOTAC. There was a fight broke out. I grabbed the guys. I said, hey, let's get out of here. And then I drove the car. And as we were getting off our exit, you know, of course, we're swerving and then you're trying to get off the exit, get pulled over. And because SOTAC is such a high, it's a USAC school.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very up there. You know, everybody knew about it.
Mm-hmm.
Came back and it was crappy. So,
Yeah.
but my career wasn't over at that point. You know, it was like, all right. So we went and did a PMT in AP Hill. We had a new E8, and then myself and another person. And I pretty much ran the PMT, handled all the logistics and, you know, coordinations. And, you know, I pretty much ran it. And then when the Sergeant Major and the Colonel came, I gave them a briefing on what was going on, where we're at, because they couldn't come to the PMT. And so, you know, Sergeant Major was like, you know what, Rick, I think you're going to recover from this. You know, get back and, you know, you can't come to Pakistan, but, you know, we probably end up going to another team or something.
Mm-hmm.
I said, okay, cool. You know, so I get back. A couple of weeks later, you know, still doing the same thing, drinking, party, come into work late, not care. And then I get my second DUI.
Oh, man.
And that was it. That was it. You know, make an example of you.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 DUIs back to back within a 6-month period, you know, that's it. So
That was
the
kind of like a career ender.
Yep. The punishment would come from the top. And somewhere along the line, I felt like something else happened because the punishment was kind of extreme. I did a board of my peers, you know, and even in the board of the peers, people that went there and actually spoke for me, they all felt the same way where decision was made. So this was just them checking the block right there. Decision was
Giving
made from
your
the top.
due process.
Yeah. So, you know, other than honorable discharge, because it was a behavioral thing, you know, the DUIs, and reduced to E1, Special Forces tab taken away.
Oh.
So we're talking about all that, my identity, everything that I knew was gone. And then boom, out of the Army, gone in like 2 months, maybe 3 months, gone. Wow. So, and I had nothing.
You're probably indefinite at that point, weren't you?
I had just re-enlisted, so yeah, so it was indefinite, and I had nothing. I already got divorced. I was all, you know, she was moved away with the kids. And I had a girlfriend which broke up with after a second DUI. So now it's just me and the friends that I had there in Fayetteville. And after that point, it was just you're either gonna do bad or try to fix it, and you know. But at that point, just miserable. Continue to drink, you know.
Is that how you dealt with it, drinking?
Yeah. I mean, I had nothing, no responsibilities, no nothing, no one. And so we party, we drink, fights, jail, you know, in and out of trouble, in and out of situations. And that probably went on for about a good 2-3 years. Met some good people, met some bad people. So it's like, you know, the good people will be there for you and say, hey, what are you doing next? Let's go grab a drink, but tell me what your next plan is. Bad people is like, hey, let's just drink, fight, and go find ourselves in shit, you know.
So at what point did you look in the mirror and says, something's got to change. I got to fix myself.
So I had a friend that I met when I got out. We got out around the same time. He was a 13 Bravo from the 82nd, but we seen each other in the bar, and then finally saw him down in the basement of Womack where you do your out processing. And we got to talking, and we were like, oh, we hang around the same people. Name's Barry Barker, Specialist Barry Barker. And so he was one of those good peoples that we were hanging out. We had a good time, drinking, partying, but still just a good person. And he eventually left and went back to Seattle to be closer to his mom and sister and brother. And he became a commercial diver, underwater welder. And that's what he did. I went out and did a contract job out there, and I came back. Now I found myself in a situation that was not good. It was one of those eye-opening situations, you know, it just wasn't good and big trouble. So I ended up having this court thing for about 2 years. And in between that time, early on, Barry had committed suicide.
Oh man.
And that was the eye opener there. You know, it's too busy messing up my life, putting myself in situations and doing things I'm not supposed to be doing, rather than checking on my friend, checking on him to make sure I was okay at some times when he was there. And I said, I need to do something. So once I get myself out of this, I'm going to figure something out. So that was 2015. Barry's birthday is tomorrow. Mine's May 3rd, of course. So May 1st, 2016, I said, hey, let's do a run. 22 a day was kicking off.
Yeah.
You know, it was coming to light. It was coming to light. 22 a day, 22 veterans a day committing suicide. So that was coming to light. And I said, hey, well, let's do something for Barry. But instead of 22 push-ups, because that's easy, you know, let's make it a little bit more challenging. Put on our body armor, wear camo pants, and run 2.22 miles, come back, and then do the 22 push-ups. And it was May 1st on a Sunday, 2016. 55 people showed up, and 54
awesome.
people wore Barry's name tape. One person wore another name tape. But out of those 55 people, the majority of my friends and people I was with, we all knew Barry. Barry was probably our first person that we knew committed suicide in that sense. And that's what started the whole changing transition and, you know, trying to fix myself. I mean, the alcohol's always been there. It's always been an issue. Always, you know, you scale it back some days, you know, and, you know, move forward. But it's always something, you know, as the years went on. The run continued, the parking signs continued, the drinking continued, and, you know, still finding yourself in trouble. So, you know, I didn't really seek any therapy for it. It was like, hey, I can control it. You know, I can cut it off when I want to. I'm not a alcoholic that needs to drink at his house. But when I go out, I drink, and we drink hard and heavy, and that's where the problem was. You know,
Do you think coming from regiment, coming from being a Green Beret, long tab, you have this alpha male, you know, inner person in you. Do you think that kind of hindered you from saying, I don't have a problem?
I believe alpha males don't call themselves alpha males.
Okay.
You just know who you are and when you stand out. People will look at him like, that's a leader. That's an alpha male. That's the type of person. Everybody has leadership qualities certain ways, but it wasn't because of that. It was just really felt like I didn't. Felt like I could cut it off. I could, and the thing about it was being a functional alcoholic, and the military created that functional alcoholic. From the time I would say I went to RIP, you know, we would go out and drink, and then come in and run 5 miles. Whoever throws up first, who pays for the drinks that night. And we would go out, drink, and we would do that. And we were drinking, but we were operating the next day. Fucking getting smoke, running, doing land nav. And that's where I believe the functional alcoholic comes into play, and it's like, I don't have a problem. You know, I can function the next day. I can wake up and go do what I need to get done. And, you know, these last few years still, you know, drinking with some friends, they're like, we don't know how Rick wakes up and goes to the gym and go get stuff done. He's knocking stuff out. But that functional alcoholic was already going on. And then, you know, but that's what I believe the Army created, you know, you treat it as a prize. You work hard, you play hard. You involve alcohol, you know. But I believe that I didn't think I had a problem, you know. And then recently, I think last year, like December, I was like, you know what, I'm going to go to the VA. And that's when I started getting treatment from the VA, and they offered behavioral treatment for alcohol. And I was like, all right, I'll start it. And that's where that.
So how long have you been out?
I've been out since 2011.
Okay, and then recently is the first time you ever went to the VA?
Yeah, I started the VA last July.
Holy moly.
Yeah, because with the discharge, so we put in for the discharge to get upgraded. To go back 2020, I got my Special Forces tab reinstated by General Baudet, which is like, you know, kind of a very difficult thing, depending on how you got it taken away, you know, but because it was alcohol, you know, maybe they looked at it into perspective, like, well, what did Rick really do? And it was like, oh, alcohol was something that we all do, but Rick's doing these great things. And I always told them I'm not doing these great things for stuff like that. Somebody saw somebody else get their tab back and said, if that dude can get his tab back, Rick deserves his.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I didn't lose it in combat, and that's one big thing. You know, you performed in combat, came back home. I did not keep up the Green Beret standard. Why? Because, you know, drinking, partying, getting caught.
Mm-hmm.
And they joke around. They're like, the only difference is you got caught.
Yes, that's
and,
true.
And then, you know, but I tell them I made that bet and I slept in it. But I got the tab reinstated in 2020, you know, and at the end of the day, because you got your tab taken, you're a shitbag. You got your tab back, shouldn't have got your tab taken to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
So the community is weird. People who know me, but then people who don't know me, they all judge. But they all sit back, judging and throwing stones when they're living in their glass houses, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the VA called me April last year and said, hey, you got approved for, you know, care. No compensation, but you're approved for care. So you sent me a VA. I went to VA register, got my VA card, and I started going to VA for, you know, care and stuff like that. And then in 2019, they looked at your discharge and say if you got an other and honorable or general under honorable or something, they look at if it was alcohol, PTSD, or even drug-related, a dependency. They say, all right, well, if it is that case by case, we'll take it and we'll give these guys treatment. Mm-hmm. You won't get compensation, you'll get treatment. So that's when I started going to VA, you know, and now they start to look for compensation and see if you're eligible. I have 3 honorable enlistments. So there's always that.
Mm-hmm.
If something is service connected to those honorable enlistment, then you can get compensated.
But you got shot.
Yeah. I got shot, and it says gunshot wound to the left arm, non-service connected.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, non-service connected. So we all look at that, and it's just...
It happened while I was, come on.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, but the area that they covered for the medical, 1998 August to January 6, 2008, that's the coverage for my medical. Mm-hmm. I got shot January 26, 2008.
Mm.
It doesn't make sense how they covered it because I re-enlisted in 2009. So all from 2009, from re-enlistment, all that should have been covered. But that's just some things we're fighting with the VA. You know, as we saw today, got a decision letter in for TBI. It got denied.
Oh.
So here we go. Now we're going to go back. Mm-hmm. It's a big fight. And I tell people, continue to fight. I'm learning. There's people out there. There's private companies out there. But you have your VSOs out there.
Yep.
Some VSO. My VSO right now, he's on it. He's good. And he's, you know, telling me what to do. The friends are telling me what to do. Supplemental claim, reclaim it, go in there, appeal, and just stay in the fight when it comes with the VA. You know?
Yeah, I tell everybody, utilize your VSO. That's your Veteran Support Office. And every town has a VSO. So you can lean on them to do anything.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I do a lot. So what are you doing now that you're out? You're doing a lot of amazing things, and I want everybody to know about it.
So we're continuing what we're doing with my organization is called Through Tragedy Comes Light.
Mm-hmm.
Our 2 missions that we do is a parking sign dedication.
Mm-hmm.
So we dedicate parking spaces to veterans and first responders that pass away. We actually just recently did a K9, our first K9, which was our 100th sign.
Mm-hmm.
So what makes the signs different, you've seen the Purple Heart signs out there. So I started off with Purple Heart signs, part of the Purple Heart chapter. Basically just added a gold plate with the rank, name, date of birth, date of departure. And then it was the Purple Heart sign. That was my first version, which I did 7, I believe. Then I came back and I was like, well, we need to figure out how we can tell people about this person with this way besides Googling their name. And QR code just came out. This was like 10 years ago.
And that's on the sign?
10 years ago. And I found the QR code and I was like, what does this do? And back then, you had to have a QR code generator. You had a QR code reader app. It was brand new. I should have invested in it. I would have been rich by now.
For real.
So I decided to slap a QR code on these signs. So now we revamped the sign, went from Purple Heart, revamped it to veterans, first responders. It's blue. It's got the gold plate still on it. It's got the American flag. And then whatever unit is the person's a part of is in the center, and then the top left is a QR code. And you scan the QR code, it takes you to our website, the Paladin website, and it has all their information on there. Of course, you scan that specific one, it'll take you to that specific person.
That's cool.
So that's what we got. We got 100 signs across the country from North Carolina to Florida, Texas, and Seattle. So that's where we're at. And like I said, we just did our 100th sign, which was a canine, military working dog. And then we had the run. The run has been going on. We just did our 10th year. We did a gala, bring in Gold Star families. So 22-a-day Gold Star families. I think we had about 29 of them this year. Bring them in. We take care of them as much as we can. Hotel fees, food, gas if needed. So we did a gala. It was very, very well done, led by one of my Gold Star committee members, Miss Ming Trogos, who lost her husband to suicide. So the girls put that all together. I wasn't a part of that because they didn't want me to be a part of it because it would be way more over the top. So, but they're women and they were just trying to keep it.
I got you.
Nice. They didn't think my knight's shining armor fighting in the middle of it would be cool. So, but anyway, but they did a great job, and then we did the run the next year, and it was our 10th year, and just a lot of stuff that going on. And then, throughout the year, just did stuff. Went to commercial dive school in Barry's memory. We talked about that. So, but all I did was go to school, then came back, and
You did it just to honor him.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, so I was going to Fayetteville Tech in Fayetteville, got my degree in welding technology, 2019, and Barry's mom made me a promise that she was going to come to the run the 5th year if I had it a 5th year. And I believe, 17 or 18, I went to Seattle. I drove to Seattle on a trip to help my buddy move his car and his dog. Felt like I was tricked, but I did it voluntarily. And then he's like, oh, by the way, can you take the dog with you? So I was like, all right, plan this trip. So I called Barry's mom, and I said, hey, what do you think about doing a parking sign for Barry? And it usually takes shortest is like 3 months for me to put it together. And she's like, well, what are you thinking? I was like, I'm going to be there in 4 days. She's like, what? I was like, yeah, I just need you to pick a place in 4 days, and we're going to put together this ceremony. And it's grown into a big ceremony, too. I'll show you that.
That's awesome.
But she was like, well, Buffalo Wild Wings or Red Robin. I was like, well, pick one. And pick Buffalo Wild Wings. I had the sign made and everything. I had, everybody on standby. Once I got the okay from Buffalo Wild Wings, put it all into play. I think I got there Monday. And went to see his mom, and I was just like, all right, tomorrow, Tuesday, 5 o'clock, we're going to do a parking sign dedication. And she's like, okay. So I had a singer, Patriot Guard. I think I had the color guard there too. Presentation, everything was set up by Tuesday. Did the parking sign to honor him, put up his sign there. And like I said, Barry was an underwater whaler commercial diver, and I had his helmet shipped to me when he passed away because his friend had it. And I had it stripped down and repainted in memory of Barry. And I actually flew it to Seattle in 2016. I flew it there, met his mom for the first time, presented her with the helmet, and she kept the helmet. And that's why when I went back, she said, hey, I'll come if there's a 5th year. And I was like, well, you bring the helmet? And she goes, yes, I'll bring the helmet. I said, okay. 2019, graduated. I said, I'm going to commercial dive school. Everybody's like, what? I was like, yeah. They're like, you don't even like water. I was like, I know I don't. But Barry, that's what he did before he died. And I'm going to go. I'm going to become a commercial diver. And then I'm going to bring a helmet that I dove in and put it next to his helmet that his mom's bringing here next year for the run. And I was like, well, that's a lot, but okay. Had a going away party. Everybody was like, well, we'll see you in a week. I was like, yeah. So I left Fayetteville in 2019 and went to Charleston, South Carolina. I would say kind of started over. Didn't know anybody there. Brand new thing. It was ran by a bunch of military guys, a highway patrol guy, military. So, and you had to put your DD-214 in there. A GI Bill paid for it. So a story, where they knew who I was, not because from Fayetteville or anything, but because of DD-214. And story was told to me later on that the head guy goes in there and he brings the DD-214 in, the ERB, and they're all looking at it and they're like, man, this dude's badass. Like, it's a Green Beret. Mm-hmm. He's like, yeah. He's like, look at that rank. And he look at the rank, and the rank says E1. Mm-hmm. And my buddy Rusty goes, that dude likes to party. So went to school, graduated a week out. They're like, hey, what are you doing after you graduate? I was like, I ain't diving. I was like, you ain't put me in that water. I was like, I ain't going back in that thing because we were diving in the Cooper River. It was dark as hell. Who knows what was in there? They're like, all right. They're like, well, we're standing up a dorm program, and you said you were going to go to the advanced courses. I was like, yeah. So I was going to do ROV, which is remote operational vehicle underwater, and then advanced underwater welding. It's like, well, how about you help us stand up this dorm program, and you'll have a place to stay, you'll have a job, and you don't have to dive, and you'll be an instructor helper.
That's cool.
You could teach the welding up top, help teach that, and then you wait for your courses, but just to help us stand this up. I was like, that sounds great. I was like, I'm in. Graduated that Friday, Thursday. I had a shirt with the dive school logo on it Monday, and I was in it.
That's cool.
And I stood up their program. It was just basically standing up a dorm, getting everything in there. Then it was being in charge of the kids when they were coming dorm. These kids were young, 19, 20 years old, 22. Mm-hmm. We had some old cats in there, like my age and older. But, it was just like being in the barracks again in the Army. And it was just like, man, they ain't like cleaning. They ain't like nothing.
Oh.
So then I had to regulate and become the mean person.
Yep.
But, but give them leeway sometime, and I'm just like, But eventually, ROV, advanced underwater welding, and then I was done. I'm going back to Fayetteville. And then I started a mobile welding company to help people out that couldn't bring stuff into the city or garages. And I would go out and weld it at their farm or their country place. I would either get paid with a bottle of Jameson or money. Either which way I was happy. I was just helping people out.
Now, in the midst of this, how did you meet Mr. Weeby?
We met on the internet.
Okay.
Not Grindr. I'll put that out there.
Not Grindr.
Yep, not Grindr at all.
Yeah. He could probably elaborate more.
So I lost a buddy back in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
He served in the same battalion as Rick. So we both served in 2nd ID, both deployed, got to know him, really good dude. If you remember, what's that movie? Forrest Gump, where he says, oh, he was my best friend or whatever, how he talks about Bubba. Mm-hmm. That's pretty much him. He's a straight cat. He liked to party, don't get me wrong. He was no angel, but he was like that to me.
Mm-hmm.
Really good dude. And so a lot of people looked up to him. So got out 2014, started losing friends slowly after him. And I just went down through this wild path of kind of like him, partying and stuff like that. Couldn't control my alcohol, but I was still doing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2016, I just wanted to end it, because I started losing a lot more friends. I was like, holy shit. I think I've lost, between combat and suicide, close to 20 people. I was like, I'm done. I was like, it hurts so much. And then one day, I think I saw something. We had a mutual friend, and they reposted something off him. I'm like, oh, okay. He looks like a cool guy. I was like, I'm going to add him. I added him on Facebook, and then he was like, who are you? I was like, I'm Rudy. Okay, but who are you? I'm like, I was like, what is he trying to do? Like, he's like, my name's Rudy, man. Like, I had a buddy in, 3rd group, sub battalion. He's on a dive team, and he's like, oh, like, let me see a picture of him or something like that. I was like, oh, okay, here's pictures. He's like, here's their deployment video. So I was like, oh, okay, and then we were supposed to meet up before I deployed to Jordan because I was in the California National Guard. He told me, he's like, hey man, it's like, come by. He's like, we'll meet before, you go to Jordan. I was like, all right, cool. We didn't meet in 2017 because he was going on some contract. I forget what it was. I think it was to train MARSOC guys. Come back and he's like, hey man, he's like, you back from Jordan? He's like, yeah man. He's like, are you gonna be in Fayetteville? I was like, yeah man, I'm coming back to Fayetteville, see some friends, stuff like that. He's like, all right, cool. I was like, hey, swing by, man. He's like, all right, cool. Meet up at what's that restaurant, bar, or whatever. Went over there, met up, we hang out, don't see him for a couple days later because I was like, how do I feel about Rick? He's like it gets a little wild. And it's not like nothing bad that happened, but it's just like a little wild. Tom's like, hey man, heading back to Cali, it's like good meeting you. And so we meet up, I think, one more last time before go back to Cali, and then we stay in communication, stuff like that, and then he's like, hey man, you gonna come to Pimp Down? I was like, what's Pimp Down, man? And then he tells me everything, and so I was like, hey man, I don't really have the funds right now. Like I got the funds to like fly out. I was like, don't worry man, I got you. I was like, I got a place for you. I was like, all right, cool. Like fly out, and so it was 2020. Yeah, 2020, he flew out for his Pimp Down, and I always tell him he's the reason why I got blood clots in my lung at that time. After that,
oh man.
So have a good weekend. Some stuff happened.
Fun times.
Yeah, he's the reason why I got a gun pulled on me.
Oh
A
Lord.
little dramatic.
And
Dramatic there.
it wasn't him. It was some crazy dude and his wife. Didn't like him at all.
And house parties.
Yeah.
So you reached out to him because of what you were going through
Yes.
initially?
Yes.
So it kind of...
I think it was that week before I had pulled out my 1911, locked him low with hydroshocks, shoved my pistol in my mouth, and I was like, I don't want to be here no more. And then I think I just scared the shit out of myself. Like I was like, holy shit, I'm really gonna fucking do this. And I was like, nah, I was like, I got too many people who depend on me. Danny's mom, some other friends' moms. I was like, no, I gotta stay here, man. And so about a week or so later, that's when I saw his repost from one of our buddies or whatever it was, and I hit him up.
It's good, man. Yep. So you kind of, everything that you've been through, it helped you save somebody else's life.
Yes.
Just all through your posts and, the things that you've been through, kind of sharing stuff. That's great.
Yeah, and I hear people talk about it, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, you saved my life," and I'm just like, "Oh, no, just being there for people, to go what I went through, and like I said, this year we had a bad start to this year. It was very traumatic this year, and I compare what I've been through in the military and stuff that went on, and that was a good learning experience to help others, help people before then, and but what I talk about with my two best friends getting shot and killed, it was one of the most traumatic things that I experienced. And to me, it buried whatever military trauma I had, which I don't believe any of my military was trauma. It always seems like a fun time. But to see something like that happen years after being out the military, and then happen at home, and then happen with, people who were never in the military, but just family, that really kind of set something up, and spiraled. Of course, it was like emotions after that. Was just drinking every day was drinking after the incident and just trying to cope with it. And eventually I went to the VA and I started their alcohol behavioral program. And it was interesting because I didn't even know what I signed up for, and I was sitting there, and they were like, "All right, it's time for the group." I'm like, "The group?" I'm like, "Whatever." Go in and sit down, and I'm just like, "What's this about?" And it was like, "Oh, this is alcohol behavioral program. What's it called? surviving one day at a time or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, okay, all right, that's interesting. I was like, well, if I knew this was this, I wouldn't have came in. And then the lady's like, well, you can leave, you know. I was like, no, I'm here now. I'm going to sit in on it, you know. I might need it. And it was like, it was talking about taking it day by day and not drinking, taking it day by day. And all in my mind, I could be like, I was like, oh, well, I have a funeral this week. I have a shit ton of shit to do. And the friends that we're all going to be around, we're all going to be drinking. So how about I'll probably be back next week and be like, let's start this over again. And it was just it's been a rough couple of months, you know, and just trying to cope with it, just trying to make sure everybody's good, the family's good, you know, just getting past it. And then I signed up for this program called the Reboot Program, Reboot Trauma Program. It's religion-based, but it wasn't very religious. It open up with a prayer, close with a prayer, say a couple words from the Bible every now and then. I was actually the guest speaker for the program graduation last year or a year and a half ago. And I went out there, spoke, told my story, and did that. And then I got a message that, hey, they're starting a class. And I was like, you know what? I need to go to this. So I went and I took my friends with me. I took Phil. Remember Phil? So me and Phil was there that night when the incident happened. So Phil was also in that mode, you know, traumatic, you know. And so I was like, well, Phil, come with me. Come in the program. So we went, and another guy who's been through some trauma in his life, we all sat in it together. And to me, that's what made the program kind of more powerful for me, was that I was able to sit in there with my friend, you know, who we talk about the best form of therapy is reuniting with those who experience the same thing.
Absolutely.
You know, me and the other guy, we had our SF experiences. We didn't deploy together or anything, but we still had those similar of getting shot and stuff like that. Phil was in the 82nd, but me and Phil had that experience from that night, very close in that night. So for us to sit in that class and go through that, and you know, we graduated, and people talk about what did the Reboot program do for you? You know, does it help? You know, are you in a good place now? And I really say, you know, it helped. But to me, what made it feel good was every week for an hour, I was in a safe space, and I was sitting there with my friend, and we're there, and you know, and they have a great curriculum. And like I said, it's religion-based, but in the curriculum, it's like, well, do you have survivor's guilt? Do you have regret? And it wasn't specific for us, but it was just overall. These were the subjects and then different things they covered. And eventually, you know, you got to tell your story, what brings you to Reboot. And, you know, and Phil had, you know, 2 stories that, you know, were very traumatic in his life, and he told those 2, with one being that night. And then me, I was specifically that night is what brought me there, and to talk about it. And, you know, and it was everybody in the room that was in the class, they all live in Fayetteville. It was in Fayetteville, so they all knew about that night because it was on the news. It was very big. And, you know, and they were like, wow, you 2 guys were there. We were like, we didn't even know that, you know. And it was like, for you guys to come in here and talk about it, or just to be in this course, you know, kind of says something, you know. So, but it was just a different outlet, different thing. And I'm looking at signing up for another course with the VA. And I'm not big on one-on-one therapy, but I like the group therapy.
Like the group thing. I
like to sit in and, you know, and I completed the 4-week course at the VA, that one that I was like, hey, I'll come back next week and try. It's a 4-week course, but it took me 6 weeks because I missed a couple days.
Yeah.
But I finished it.
That's
and then
good.
just to sit in there with everybody in both programs were veterans, but these guys were VA people. I mean, not VA people, just veterans I'd never seen or before. And, you know, one guy is in there, you know, just everybody's in there for alcohol or substance abuse. And it's hard to open up when you don't know people.
Absolutely.
But eventually you start opening up, and, you know, and it helps. It really helped me. It helped a lot, you know. There's still days I struggle, you know, we struggle with the memories, you know, because once you lose someone, or, you know, not every day is going to be the same. Not every birthday, not every holidays. You know, when they're in every picture that pops up in a memory, you know, and it sucks.
Mm-hmm.
But what can we do? You know, sometimes we take it out on those that truly love us around us, and then we neglect and regret and forget, you know, and then, you know, so people give up.
Yeah.
But the whole point is, you know, not to give up on yourself, and then people won't give up on you.
Absolutely.
That's what I believe.
So if you could, being through all your experiences, everything that you've gone through, what's some advice you give to somebody maybe that's struggling right now?
Seek help,
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't have to be a therapist. Be a friend. Could go be religious. Talk about it. At the end of the day, I believe when people are struggling and when they're going through issues, they just need someone to talk to, someone to listen. You know, one of the things I say is, you know, if you're going through stuff, be able to make that phone call,
Mm-hmm.
and then also other people take that phone call. You never know when that phone rings and I see somebody that I don't know and I don't recognize that don't call me often. I'm like, oh, holy crap, I need to pick that up.
Yeah.
You know, but it's the same. It goes same time. Self-awareness, self-help is the key.
I think that's a big thing, realizing you had a problem, realizing you got a problem, and taking accountability.
Yes.
I think that's the biggest thing, taking accountability, because you can never get anywhere with nobody that doesn't take accountability.
Mm-hmm.
When you start taking extreme ownership of the things that you do, I think you can definitely move forward in anything you do. So
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
that's just my take on it.
Oh, that's it.
But, man, Rudy, what do you think about somebody who's struggling? Because you went through too. So how did you recover?
Never give up.
Never
Always
give
look on
up.
the positive side. Because after my thing, about 2 years later, 2019 to 2020, I was losing about a friend once a month.
Wow.
So I think I lost about 11 people, within 12
To suicide?
to suicide.
Oh, man.
And, you know, I was like, after my attempt in 2016, I was like, I can get through this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I got good friends like Rick that can call, text, you know, whatever. You know, and Rick checks up on me at times. Like, if he hasn't heard from me or he hasn't seen me post, he'll check on me. Hey, man, how you doing? So I'm doing good. And then same thing. So I don't see him, you know, or hear from him. I was like, hey, man, how you doing? You know.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that, Rick. I appreciate you coming on and telling your story. I'm sure this is going to help any individual that's going through it. And I appreciate you, Rudy, coming on and telling your story about your struggling, how you're being resilient and getting through it, man. You know, because as veterans, we got to look out for each other, honestly.
Yep.
So, do you have anything in closing, Rick? You want to leave with the audience?
I'm going to give you a coin
Oh,
from my
man.
organization. So this
Thank
is our
you.
organization, Through Tragedy Comes Light. You know, it's our coin. So the coin is the shape of a stop sign.
Mm-hmm.
To give you a subtle reminder, take a moment to stop, honor their service, respect them, respect their sacrifice, and remember them. The colors represent different organization: police, fire, border patrol, Coast Guard. The hour shape, glass shape, represents the time we have on earth and how we choose to spend it.
Oh, wow.
The wings represents those that we have lost. They're looking down and taking care of us. So I'm going to give that to you.
Man, thank you, bro. I appreciate that.
And we also have this one. So here we go.
Oh, I get two?
You get two.
Man.
35. Think of what's something is significant with 35 that you can think of right now.
35. I'm drawing a blank, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, I mean, I always try to relate something to it if you can't. But this is our Man 22 Suicide Awareness coin, right? On the back it says a person dies twice, once physically and a second time when we forget them.
Wow.
What we do as an organization, with our sign, with our run, with just being there for each other, saying their names. Like, you know, Rudy had the Gold Star family mom come yesterday. We got to meet her. You know, just being there for people and mentioning and saying their name is that we won't allow them to die twice.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. Man, this is amazing, y'all. Again, thank you so much, fellas, for coming out.
Appreciate
We
you.
appreciate you sharing your stories and blessing us with your presence, man.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Until next time, y'all, stay swaggy, stay strong. Peace, y'all.